What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Stay Hot Little Caesars Monday Night Football Watch Party. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by one of my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Spawnhour. Theo, his flight got delayed. He's flying back to Denver. He was seeing his family for Thanksgiving. Shit happens. Travel. It's one of the busiest travel times of the year. It's tough. But we will carry the ship, and we will we'll be talking about Vikings versus Bears. Probably would have been a more interesting game to talk about last week's Monday night game.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win tonight, buddy?
I would take the Vikings.
I like the Bears.
Yeah?
I just have a good feeling about them tonight.
Are you just trying to get like an Ohio State player to get a win this week, or
what the hell's your problem, dog? Nobody ever lets me live.
My bad.
Well, Auburn's devastating loss. Yeah, it was a heartbreaker, man. And I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I feel you. I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you, brother.
You know what's crazy? I was playing Madden today. I started a franchise as a corner, which is like, it's stupid hard.
Right.
But like, I'm playing the Dolphins. I got drafted to the Patriots. I'm playing the Dolphins, and we're in a shootout, and we need one more stop to win the game. And they line Tyreek Hill up at tight end, and he like burns me on a corner route and gets like that exact same like game-winning touchdown that Bama had against Auburn. I was pissed.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
Thanks, man. Means a lot.
What did you do? Did you get mad? Did you like jump up and
man,
down
I
and
threw
stomp
my
your
controller.
feet? Maybe
I threw my controller through my monitor. Yeah, like I only have 2 monitors now. It's over for me.
Shoot. Yeah.
Man.
Do Bears fans want to keep Justin Fields, or do they want to draft a quarterback?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I've seen very, very mixed reviews on that. I think what it comes down to is like, it would be nicer if Fields was the guy. You could do cooler stuff in the draft if you don't have to burn the number 1 overall on a QB. That's how I think it feels.
You're gonna have like 2 top 5 picks, and it's like if you could go like, oh, we'll take Marv in the top 5, and we'll maybe trade back a pick. Like you could do some nasty work, and maybe they still will. But like, it's gonna be
possible.
Hard to pass.
It's possible they keep Fields. I think it's very possible. But I would be very nervous about doing that. If you're the Bears, you have to know that likely this is your last shot at like getting a quarterback in the foreseeable future. Being this bad or having the number 1 overall pick. I mean, even this Bears team that stinks wouldn't be in a position to draft a QB if it wasn't for the Panthers. Where's Theo? He's on a flight back home from Thanksgiving. He's a little delayed, so we're just doing it with the 2 of us.
Yeah. We could have waited until he got back because he said he would be back at like 10. But
guys, I found the love of my life in an airport last week, but forgot to ask for her number when we said bye to each other. What do I do?
You should. If you got her name, you should like look her up on Instagram and Facebook and like stalk her.
I would try. You could do the like, okay, Twitter, I need your help. Okay, TikTok, I need your help. I met this girl at the airport, but I forgot to ask for her number. And then they could be like, guys, we have to find her. And then they like figure out who she is, and she's like not interested. Not saying she's not interested, but like you always run that risk. It's like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I put $100 on the LeBron play. God bless, man. The Raiders could probably take a flyer on Fields if he leaves, but they won't be good for a while. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of teams that could take a shot on Fields.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a reasonable one. I mean, we see how few quarterback options there really are. I guess part of the question is like, how many quarterbacks from this year's draft class get at least 5 starts next year? There's a question for you.
How many quarterbacks from this upcoming draft class
Get at least 5 starts next year?
Williams, May.
There you go. And the answer could be like 3 other guys, or it could be nobody. Who knows?
So if we say, hypothetically, the Bears take one of them, who is the next pick there? Let me pull up.
Well, we don't need to worry so much about where May and Caleb Williams are going to go.
Well, I'm not saying about where. Yeah, I'm just saying like who are the next teams that need quarterbacks. So the Bears take one. The Patriots take one.
Boom. All right, here's okay. Well, you can list the other teams that probably need to do something at QB. The Giants, the Raiders. Many would argue the Falcons.
Many would be wrong, man.
Pittsburgh, they're going to give Kenny year 3. They're going to say new offensive coordinator. Yeah. Teams. The history of teams who are not in a position to get a quarterback, like punting on a first-round guy after 2 years, is a slim one. I'm sure that they'd be willing to if somebody was open, but like I don't know.
Do you think the Rams are considering a quarterback? Stafford's been banged up all year. He was banged up last year. Like, it might be the end of the
There's a lot of teams that could take a guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I still don't know if anyone other than May and Williams gets, like, reasonable starts.
I don't think the answer is 2. I can tell you that much.
I don't think the answer is 2, but I don't think the answer is 5. I could see 3.
3? You think one more?
I think one more. My hot take, the Patriots are going to draft McCarthy. This is...
I have a hard time seeing that. I don't think they're going to win enough games to be in McCarthy position. And I also wonder where McCarthy's going to be as a prospect.
If they win the national title?
The Michigan offense still, despite it all, he made some nice plays against Ohio State, but they didn't ask him to be very aggressive.
I don't think McCarthy's anything crazy. I'm just saying the Patriots will be drafting McCarthy.
I don't think so.
It feels like a Patriots pick to me. Just gut feeling.
Where do you think Kirk Cousins will end up? Probably back on the Vikings.
That probably is the right.
Tell you, this Dobbs probably starts somewhere next year.
Yeah.
Dobbs is probably a planned starter somewhere next year. Well, maybe. I'm not that confident in that. I guess you got to look at who all needs QBs. There's a chance that he is. There's really just not that many guys.
Well, it's like, okay, how many teams need
a quarterback and will also like actually get... All right. Washington could think about it. The Giants could think about it. The Patriots.
The Patriots need a quarterback.
The Steelers could think about it, but again, I don't think they will. The Bears, but even if they do, I wonder if Fields will be starting somewhere else.
Yeah.
The Vikings could think about it, but even if they do, Cousins is probably a planned starter somewhere else next year. The Falcons could think about it. Tampa's another one where it's like, yeah, almost certainly.
What about
the Saints are probably rolling with Carr again.
Think so? They did give him like a 4-year deal.
It's only 2 guaranteed, but you think about it. The Raiders probably think about it. I guess it's not that many teams. There's just like, it's just the group of teams that need quarterbacks have all gone through like 4 or 5 different quarterbacks this year. It's like the Jets have gone through 3 different starters, and the Browns have been through 3 different starters, and
the Bears have been through 2 different starters. The Patriots have been through 3 different quarterbacks this year.
Well, the Bears have been through multiple starters because of injuries.
Yeah, but like that's the point. It's like there aren't that many options, but it's like
I
the
don't. What do
Jets
you
have
mean?
been through. The Jets have been through 3 different quarterbacks because of
Well, they had their
Right.
starting QB get injured.
Yeah. It's like that's why there's so many like it seems like there's just so many mid quarterbacks. There's so many.
That's
like, bad
probably
quarterbacks
that's
getting
probably
playing
true.
time.
I mean, the Patriots. I think the Giants for sure. Although I guess I could roll with Daniel Jones again, and they won too many games at this point.
Yeah.
You know, the Packers are gonna stick with Jordan Love for another year, no matter what you think about him.
They will.
The Bears probably think about it, but I don't think it's a guarantee. I mean, the only like super locks. I guess it's only. There's a decent number. There's a decent number.
All right.
I
So
think Jordan Love has shown flashes. Yeah.
Dobbs and a rookie to the Patriots. This will.
Dobbs is going to be a bridge quarterback somewhere, no doubt. For one of these teams, I bet you. I'm going to guess Tampa.
Tampa.
Yep, I predict.
Do you think
Dobbs ends
Baker?
up
Do you
in
think
Tampa.
Baker is a planned starter next year?
No.
No.
Nah. Nah, I don't think so. Right? I think Dobbs is an upgrade from Baker. And
Possibly. Dobbs got that. He's got that Fitzpatrick. He'll be a perceived upgrade.
Dobbs is a lot more athletic. I think Dobbs is living off of probably like, oh my God, this backup thrown into a crazy situation, got to win, nice. But like if you pat him as like, this is going to be our guy, that sort of changes, that raises the level. And I don't know if he'd hit that. But he's
Right.
at the minimum, you know, like a good backup quarterback. And there's not that many of them, you know?
Right. Yeah. Here's a real question. Arthur Smith. You fire him?
I bet you he makes the playoffs and they don't. That's my prediction.
Yeah. I think Falcons fans would want him gone, though.
I mean, I could see it. I understand the frustration. You have so many great weapons. Why can't you do a little bit more?
Yeah. I mean, there's such a funny play that they motion their tackle and then they run through the gap where the tackle vacated.
That's cool. I didn't catch that one. I'll have to go back and look at that.
I think I retweeted it. It's so funny. It's so funny.
I'm not a big fan of tight end screens. No.
I think it's a little bit fun in Madden.
Well, I'm talking about real life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a little fun.
Like outside tight end screens, it's like I just don't think they're usually quick enough to make those worth it.
Yeah, you would need someone pretty insane to make that work.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's just my gut feeling. Bowers, yeah.
I'll send it to you. I retweeted Sam Monson's Arthur Smith's entire ethos. What will they least expect? To the point where he'll run right at the empty gap he just motioned his right tackle out of. Sometimes the least expected for a reason.
Jonnu Smith tight end screens always work. Fair enough. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just feel like if you're doing just sort of a standard outside screen, the tight end is the guy I'd want to get it to the least.
Don't tell Kevin Stefanski that. Kevin Stefanski does love getting his tight end. Like, David Njoku is always the recipient of a tight end screen, and then the Harrison Bryant QB sneak is always a funny idea.
Are you guys on Stream East time or live time? I'm on live time.
Yeah, I'm watching on ESPN. So
The Bears, it's tempting if you're Chicago to kind of restart. You could do something really crazy. Their weapons could be nuts, and that's what their focus should be in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, you had DJ Moore, Marv, and then you'd probably want to get an edge player.
Well, kind of depends on how the draft goes for you.
Yeah. But, like, if you decide not to take a quarterback, you could go Marv 1 and then an edge guy at 4 or 5.
You could go tackle whoever the best available player is, or you could go Marvin Bowers if you really wanted to.
That'd be nasty.
Why not?
Me personally, I would enjoy it.
Probably. I don't know. I could see get somebody who really likes to line up in 12 and go Bowers and a quarterback if that's what you wanted to do. As a Bears fan, I want Marvin Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson is crazy quick. That's my scouting report on him from like going to one game and watching the Michigan game. And he's seems like he's really nice. But Verse is good too. We watched him and he was good.
Verse was really good. When he got in that wide 9, man, it was over.
Is Chop around one guy? Yeah. From what I know, yes. I haven't like sat down and like watched any film of him, but I would be very surprised if a guy with his skill set is not. Who's quarterback 3 of this class? I don't know. I'd have to really think about that.
I have no idea.
I can see it being Daniels.
Is he coming out?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a first down.
If it isn't, they should go for it.
Of course.
I think they're giving it to him.
They did.
Let's go. I might be a
Shedeur. I don't see Shedeur as an NFL guy as it stands right now. I think somebody gave him a Bridgewater comp, and I kind of agree.
Deion's kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched him enough. And someone asked me about it at Thanksgiving. I'm like, give me like in March, I'll let you know.
Shedeur is a really, really solid college quarterback, but his line is historically bad. That's true. I also don't think that he does a great job dealing with pressure. Both can be true. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it is the line. And again, I haven't really sat down and watched film on him, so I'm not saying that with 100% certainty. I'm not giving that as a take. I'm not tweeting that. But I also feel like his arm was not the crazy strongest. And who gets Heisman? It's going to be Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels is putting up.
I don't know. Which quarterback put up the best counting stats? I don't know, dude. Which quarterback had like a dog shit defense and put up the best counting stats? Daniels is nice this year. Don't get me wrong. But like absolute shocker on to the archetype of player it's going to. He's breaking the archetype by being on a team that's not like playoff level.
So true. Oh God, get away, Fields.
Marv Believers put up a good fight. The quarterback situation just wasn't good enough for him to get it. It's just as simple as that. The thing about McCord
probably
too.
The best player in college football, though.
Oh yeah, him or Bowers.
Yeah.
It's Here's a take I'm workshopping.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like guys can be better in college than they are in the pros. Absolutely, that's true. There is plenty of guys who are like great college players who just aren't going to make it in the NFL for, one reason or another. Quarterbacks who don't have the arm, linebackers who aren't quick enough, that type of stuff.
Okay.
But the draft probably does a better job of determining who the best players in college football were the year before than the Heisman race or any of like the college counting stats. That's my opinion. Like Jalen Hyatt won the Biletnikoff above Marvin Harrison last year, but he wasn't better than Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
He was not. Not even for college. And it's not like, oh, well, he's just more of a college guy. No, that's not it.
The NFL draft is a representation of like how like pro scout. I mean, it's literally just like everyone just like judging how good are these players.
Look, unless you can give me a set reason why somebody was better in college than they are in the pros, like unless you can be like, well, this quarterback was a good college quarterback, but his arm isn't big enough. If you can't give me that and you're just, it's just like, well, he put up big numbers in college and then I don't know why he worked out in the pros, I'm a little suspicious of whether or not he was just in a good situation. Like, also, who got that sack? Who got that sack, by the way? Who got that sack, by the way?
I'm definitely a hair behind
Who got that
you,
sack, by the way?
I'm guessing it's going to be Ivan Pace.
It's Ivan Pace. Yep. Nasty. Jalen Hyatt is a great player in college. Don't get me wrong. Nasty. He's not better than Marvin Harrison.
No.
It's just it's such a shame because Ohio State could have won that game. They could have. They just made so many mistakes. And I don't want to say that Michigan didn't win, but like the first interception was an unforced error. It was a total just missed read. He just read it out wrong. Good for Michigan to be in the position to make a play, but like that's more on McCord than it is like some amazing play by Michigan. Now the second one where McCord gets pressured, that's a little bit more on them. But even then, he had a throw and he just didn't make it.
Yeah.
Miss.
Yeah, I think McCord was the biggest cost to Ohio State winning that game.
I mean, no question. And it's sad because it's so easy to just sit and blame the quarterback. But it's hard to say anything else. And what kills me about it is like, even in my review, I was like, well, he's okay in structure when everything's perfect, but like, he's really not. He's really not okay in structure.
There wasn't that much that went wrong. He wasn't like under that much pressure. Like I know the offensive line isn't anything crazy at Ohio State, but he wasn't getting killed back there. He had open throws, open reads, and he missed them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they even down after everything had happened, they still had the ball in Michigan territory with a chance to win the game, and he just threw a terrible interception. He had a guy. If he had anticipated Marv coming across, if he had just thrown that ball before the break. I feel bad for McCord too, because it's such a high. I mean, it's more high pressure than any NFL game outside of like the Super Bowl. It is.
Yeah.
Ohio State's fan base is as big as any team in the country, football wise. Probably the single most popular football team in the entire country, including NFL. And no, I think no question in college football, absolutely no question.
You think they're more popular than like Bama?
Yep. Oh yeah.
I guess I could.
In terms of just popular, like number of fans, yeah, they're by far the most popular team. But it's just a shame, and Ohio State did a lot. Like they just a lot wrong for Ohio State. And we can talk about the position groups, like the linebackers for Ohio State. Not a great performance at all.
I thought the defensive line got blown off the ball a lot.
The defensive line, I thought, in my opinion, played pretty good. For the most part, it played pretty good. Yeah, I thought so.
Like
I think
they lined
the
up in that
run
inside,
defense
yes.
was good. The pass rush was just not there.
I don't when they would line up in some looks to just do like an inside run, just like A gap zone, and they just got crushed a couple of times. But maybe that wasn't indicative of the whole day. Maybe I'm just
I thought Sawyer had a really good game in run support.
yeah.
Where does this week rank in top 10 worst weeks of all time? I mean, it's been like pretty bad, dude. I can't believe how terrible everything went sports-wise this week. This is one of my worst sports years ever. And truthfully, if it was not for Cincinnati making the playoffs, no shot. Oh, damn.
Oh my god.
He's letting that thing fly though. And that's why you got to love Dobbs. He's going to let her rip.
Double covered. Addison almost brought that down too. That's crazy.
Matt, did Michigan or Penn State have a better defense? Penn State. Michigan's defense is really good, but Penn State had a better defense. I think. I don't think that's a crazy take. Michigan has a great defense, though.
Good job by
It's funny, though, because in like points allowed per game, Ohio State and Michigan rank above Penn State. But I legitimately wonder if the reason why that is because Michigan and Ohio State's defenses got to play Penn State's offense. He really almost came down with that shit, too. He did everything he possibly could.
That's just a great play by Eddie Jackson there at the end.
I mean, he did. Oh, did Eddie Jackson not catch that? No, that was dang close. If he had fought for that at the end, man. What's Iowa's path to victory against Michigan? Man, their offense is just too terrible. I mean, like literally perfect defensive game. Where's Theo? He's on a flight.
He should be landing.
Get out of there, Dobbs. No. A little bit too choppy, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Did not touch the ground. I think it did eventually. Maybe I'm wrong. Is
not?
Devin Brown, Kine Holtz, or Aaron Nolan starting next year because it can't be McCord again? Well, it can't be McCord again. And again, I feel bad for him. It would suck to be in that situation. And, if you put me, let's say I was like a talented enough guy, and I'm not to play. Guys, I'm not talented enough to play quarterback for Ohio State. Shocker. But let's say that I was. I don't think that I could stand up to walk out on the field to go play in a game like that. I couldn't do it. I don't have that toughness. If people were talking about me the way that even, and this including myself, the way people are talking about McCord online, I would just be a wreck,
Yeah.
I feel bad for him, and I don't doubt that he is put in the work. I don't think he's a jerk or anything. None of that. But absolutely, he can't be the starter next year. It just can't be. And this is a good Ohio State team outside of that. Their run game, I thought, eventually got better, and the receivers are great. But you got to have somebody who is either, better under pressure or brings that dynamic on the ground. Now, I'll say this. Devin Brown, unless he is significantly developed, is not the starter either. He is – I'll say this about McCord. He is not great. It can get a lot worse. He is still easily a top half college quarterback in FBS. I guarantee you that. And I know that because Cincinnati, the football team, was in the same situation a little while ago where they had Ben Bryant, who I think played for Northwestern this year. And he was he was kind of similar to McCord, probably not quite as good, granted, not in as good a position, where it's didn't really offer a lot on the ground and wasn't great under pressure and had some times where he was pretty accurate and he could read things out, but he also made some mistakes. And for the whole season, people wanted him benched, including myself. I won't lie. I thought the same thing. Because Cincinnati had this guy, Evan Prater, who was one of their best recruits ever at quarterback, 6'4", big arm, could run like crazy. But Fickell keeps starting Ben Bryant all year. Fickell was still there at the time. And eventually, at the end of the year, Ben Bryant goes down with an injury. He can't play anymore. In comes Prater. and it was a disaster. Prater really couldn't read out the field. He was one read and done. The pressure really got to him. I think he plays wide receiver now, and he had a couple of catches. Not trying to throw any strays at any Cincinnati player, obviously. But it's to say that even a guy with McCord's skill level, like, it's really hard to even do that, you know? So McCord could transfer to a lot of schools and start a lot, at least 60, at least. But ultimately, the standard is just higher than that at Ohio State. So you look at your other options. Kienholz, haven't seen him play. I know he's got legs. Now the question is, will Ryan Day let anybody run? Because Stroud, he didn't let Stroud run, and that's just not acceptable. That's a good run by Fields. It's just not acceptable. You have to have that dynamic. You have to. So Noland, I think Noland's going to be great. But the idea that he's going to come in and be starter week 1 as a true freshman, dude, I just don't know. My guess is that it's going to be McCord starting week 1 next year. That's my guess. And I think that's going to hold Ohio State back, I do. Fields is so fast. He is really
He's
crazy.
Really fast.
You know the other thing about Fields long term, though?
What?
For the Bears that I don't even think has really been considered in the decision making. Nice. I don't think it's really been considered in the decision making. He is incredibly injury prone.
Is he?
Like wildly. Yeah. Yeah. Like wildly injury prone. He always gets hurt.
Yeah, I guess at Ohio State he was hurt a lot, wasn't he?
He was banged up multiple times. He had to come in and play. Like, he did it against Michigan and he did it against Clemson. Granted, he came back in and balled out in both of those games. But
right. But he got like crushed, and just you have to be better about not taking those kill shots. And I think that was something that we said when he came out.
It's something I've been saying his entire career.
You have to be able to avoid hits better. Oh my God. What was that?
I don't know. I was kind of looking at Chet.
I've been looking back at this Addison Jackson play, and I'm pretty sure at this point the ball touches the ground. Because people are like, that was a catch. That was a catch.
Yeah, I'll say Fields tried to step up into a pocket where there really wasn't anywhere to step up. He got crushed against Clemson. Yeah, it was targeting that got him, to be fair. Go look up the Ohio State, like, director's cut 4K on their YouTube channel video for that. It's the fall of Dante Corleone. I can't blame him, dog. The team is Cincinnati is just awful, man. It's a shame. There's just nothing for me, man. And maybe this is all setting up a beautiful like Ohio State like redemption arc. Like every game goes their way in the conference championship games, and they go play Georgia, and they get the revenge against Georgia, and then they play Michigan in the national title, and then they win the national title against Michigan, and it's all okay. That's gonna happen. I've heard.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. I think that would be such a disaster for Ohio State to play Georgia in the playoffs. It won't happen, but it could, technically.
It could. Thoughts on the Steelers' offense finally getting a 400-yard game? It'll never happen again.
You should make a history podcast. I'd watch every episode multiple times. What do you mean by that?
Like world history?
Like world history? I'm not that versed in world history.
We could bring on a guest, though. Like every episode have like a different...
Please tell us about world history. And then I'm like, damn, that's crazy to everything that they say.
Damn, that's crazy. Yo, you're telling me Julius Caesar...
Ohio State really had 3 heartbreaking losses in a 10-month span. They've had the 3 worst losses that they have ever had under Ryan Day in 5 years. It's been brutal, man. At least in
Think
my
he gets
lifetime,
fired?
I should say. No.
No.
Nope. They could. There's changes they can make.
They're going for it on 4th and 10.
I kind of think that's the right play call. Yep. That was a great play by Fields. That's the second time this game where he's made a fantastic.
Wow.
Even getting it out to the check down under pressure.
Yeah, because they went like a 3 deep blitz there, and they were just hoping that they can get to the quarterback before he can get something off underneath. But that was a really good play.
What would Ohio State? Someone's talking about what they would need to do to make the playoffs. The only things that they necessarily would need is Louisville and Texas, or a Louisville win and a Texas loss. Then you start to get into the debate. You probably need a Georgia. Actually, you do need a Georgia win. Those are the three things they need. Now, the debate would be, number one, if Oregon beat Washington, would Washington get in over Ohio State? I think a lot of people would want them to, because Washington played an extra tough game and lost it. I think that would be a pretty fair argument. I think Washington would have a good chance. But I think Florida State being one loss, but their extra loss came in the conference championship game, probably does not save them because they haven't played enough other tough games. So it's like, yeah, they played an extra game and that was their loss, but like their extra game was one of their first like real tests, I guess would be the thing to say. Although none of this will happen. It's pointless talking about it.
Ops on Hurts' performance yesterday. He's the GOAT.
That's pretty good, I thought.
Yeah. He started off a little rough, but hey, came up big when they needed him to. That's all that matters.
I'll say I think Hurts's rushing touchdowns on the tush push are underrated.
What do you mean underrated? Do people?
They're underrated. Yeah, people say that it's like, well, yeah, you got a touchdown, but it's just like a sneak. He's great at sneaking it. He's great at the tush push.
He is the best QB sneaking quarterback in the NFL.
He's built for that, and that's and we know that that's a cheat code, man.
Yeah, they literally tried to ban it because they're too good at it. Now it's, what doesn't count? It's a cheap play. What? Hurts is doing a Kobe serious demeanor. Colin Cowherd made a point that I really agreed with. He's like, Jalen Hurts is the best like public speaking quarterback right now.
It might be.
Like that dude is just so composed all the time.
It might be.
All right, let's see. Are they going to score here? Justin Fields is 12 for 12 tonight. Nasty.
I've argued on Twitter, people are comparing his rushing touchdowns to Cam, saying they suck in comparison to Cam's, but Hurts, it's the heart of the tush push. No other QB could do what he does. Cam's rushing touchdowns were better, for the record.
Oh,
but I disagree with you mostly, but like
Cam was flipping over people to score. Like
but also like the Panthers would have never thought to do a tush push, and they didn't have the offensive line. Granted, they had a pretty strong interior offensive line for some of Cam's years, but
they did.
It's they're more valuable than people think, but they're still not as good. They ain't flipping into the end zone touchdowns. That's all I know. Also, Cam Newton's
Jalen Hurts is not. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is not flipping into the end zone. You will never see that from Hurts.
No, I don't think it warrants hating on Hurts. Although I almost did tweet out some like, you ain't Cam, little man, for no reason, because I'm just, give me something, right?
Tolbert alone would have pushed him in.
Who missed that tackle? Who just went like flying off the screen?
Oh God.
I guess it was fine. I don't want to hate.
I think it was Cam Bynum, maybe.
I didn't say. Is it?
They won't replay it.
Let me double check before I say somebody.
Oh
before
no,
I hate
it
on
was
somebody.
who's number 7?
I forget. I'm gonna have to go look at the roster. I'm afraid.
They don't have Booth, do they?
I thought they did. Maybe he's banged up.
Murphy?
Yeah, it's Byron Murphy. That's who it is.
Byron Murphy.
Right. It was Tillery.
It was Tillery. Theo's not here, man. We don't have to slander Tillery. He didn't need to catch a stray.
He was, but it was good for him to fly down like that because Roshan had the cutback. It was not necessarily a bad play. He also had to like get around to block. It would have been a very tough tackle to make.
He went outside.
Tyreek deserves that MVP. You know, it's a shame. This is probably as good a chance as you're ever going to get for a non-quarterback MVP. And it just hasn't. And like you've got some good, like Tyreek is a really good option, but it's just not being pushed.
Yeah. Tyreek could. I think McCaffrey has a shot.
I don't think McCaffrey's numbers are near crazy enough.
They're not. We'll see how healthy Garrett is, because I know he got banged up.
If he misses any time, it's over.
It's over. That might be it for his Defensive Player of the Year case, too. We'll see. Which sucks, because he is so due.
Is Tyreek? I think if Tyreek sets the all-time receiving yard record in a single season this year, he deserves it.
You need 2,000. I think that's the floor probably for a receiver.
Yeah. A receiver winning MVP would mean they need like 2/3 of their quarterbacks touchdowns and yards. I mean, like. Look, Tyreek Hill probably is not like the most valuable player in the NFL, actually. Okay. Like if you were to replace Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek Hill, like, yeah, the Chiefs would be worse. Even if you gave them like an average QB and then just like revert them to their backup or whatever. But you got to work with me a little bit.
Yeah. He would be, he would be the best player on the best offense in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a pretty good case. When is the college football podcast coming out? Brother, I have like 3 takes and I follow 3 teams. I just complain about the 12-team playoff every episode, every day. I could with ease, man. It makes me so mad. There's only so many. Dude, how could you not like it? Here's what kills me. It's like, how could you not like more teams? Anyway, I think 8 is the right number. It just blows my mind the number of times I've heard that. It's like, okay, well then you get it. You disagree on the number, but like you get the logic. 12 teams.
Yeah.
12 teams. Good Lord.
Sadly, it's happening.
And it's, you know what? It's a battle I'm not going to win. I'm not like, look, here's exactly what's going to happen. I can tell you this right now. The regular season will mean less. Now, granted, the idea of like making the playoff being as big of an accomplishment as it is right now will probably last for another year or 2. And then people will realize that like it's doesn't mean the same thing. Like it doesn't, because you make the playoffs now, you're in the Final Four. You make the playoffs in a couple years, and you're still 2 wins away, right? So it'll mean a little bit less. And for the top dogs, the regular season is really going to get crushed. But people aren't going to want to recognize that as much as they're going to recognize like the 12-team playoff itself will probably be pretty good. It will be. It'll be very good. Now, on top of that, both sides have been played where it's like sometimes we say that like, oh, the 12-team playoff, it's going to cause more upsets. And then sometimes we say, well, the 12-team playoff will ensure that the best teams get to the Final Four. So either way that it pans out that way, you know, with that, people are going to victory lap it.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we're going to win. Home playoff games will be really chill. That's true. We should do that now. Blaiden, I don't mean to hate. Is there any way that you could blow your nose?
Nah, dog.
Dog, please.
My allergies have been killing me all day. I'll just
say we scrap the regular season and make it a double elimination bracket. Right? If there was a way to just like make the regular season an actual play, like maybe we should just rename it the playoffs and find like an actual objective system. That would work. People would love that. But I don't know. There's just so many like.
Let me ask ChatGPT what's the best way.
Oh my God, Dobbs. But even if he had gotten it over 33, what did he get hit while he threw that? I was kind of glancing away. Is it ever a case that a team outside the top 6 would be a reasonable title contender? I got 2 things to say about that. Number 1, the problem is not that a team outside of the top 6 that like can't compete for a title. They can hypothetically, although it will be way more rare than it is in the NFL that a team that's not top 6 in the regular season competes. And when it does happen, it's going to be like, oh, they called that a flag. When it does happen, they're going to call that, or unsportsmanlike. Okay. It's just taking your helmet off. Hold on. I'm watching this play. I'll get back to what I was saying.
I'm asking ChatGPT.
Just way too low. Well, ChatGPT is like not updated.
No, I'm giving ChatGPT all the information. Don't worry.
Anyway, when it does happen, it's going to be like Alabama, who had a terrible regular season, finally putting it together. It's not going to be like Ole Miss going on a run unless they significantly change as a team. Or like USC, like it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be that level of team going on a run. It's not going to be a team that can't make the 4-team playoff. Now, if you go into the season saying like, well, if it was a 4-team playoff, this team would have no chance. Okay, well, if they had no chance of like not dropping multiple regular season games, they had no chance of winning 4 straight in the playoffs. They don't. The other thing, though, is that it doesn't matter if a team outside of the top 6 can compete for a title. Even if they can, the reason why the 12-team playoff sucks is because the regular season is supposed to be a playoff. Like, you're taking away the meaningful games from that. Sure, like, okay, now we have maybe another contender who's competing for the title at the end of the year, but we're taking other games that would also essentially be for the title and just eliminating that stakes from that and moving it down the timeline. So you're not really creating more opportunities, I guess is my point. 2013 Auburn needed this system. We were so unfortunate. Well, 2013 Auburn was not unfortunate. 2013 Auburn was like, and this is the thing. An underdog actually has a better chance in the BCS of actually winning the national title. Way better. Way better. If you're an underdog,
4 straight games.
Yeah. You're asking. If I'm an underdog, I'd much rather try to win out in the regular season and play one championship game than, yeah, I can drop one game in the regular season, but I have to play extra playoff games.
Yep. I would agree.
I don't agree the regular season is the play. playoff. Honestly, it's meant to smooth our conference across conferences. I don't know what you mean by that, to be completely honest. I think this is one of the years where you can say there's more than 4 deserving teams. Not really. In my honest opinion. The idea is that Texas is deserving of playing for the national title. And by 4-team playoff standard, there's a case. But in terms of like, does Texas have any claim for having like the best regular season in college football? Like, no, not at all. Or being the best team? Like, I don't think so. In my opinion. They lost a game. There's 4 undefeateds.
Who are the teams that you actually think are title contenders?
What do you mean?
Like, there can be 4 teams deserving of making the playoffs, but not necessarily 4 teams that are like
title contenders.
Yeah,
I kind of think Washington, Michigan. I think Oregon could go and run. Georgia, Alabama. I think all those teams could go and win the national title.
Okay. I just didn't know if you
Texas
thought it was
could.
There were only like 3.
That's pretty wide open this year.
Those hits are always so tough to judge. It's like,
yeah, 12 team actually makes less parity. Yes,
it does.
Less room for more room for error. Only like it helps the top dogs more. I don't think people disagree with that, but I think it's 100% true.
It's like trickle down economics, man. It doesn't work.
It's Well, okay, well think of it like this. If I told you right now for the Michigan-Iowa game that you could either have both teams have 10 possessions or both teams have 1 possession and you were Iowa, which would you pick?
1.
Yep. There you go.
I had to think about that for a second, but yeah, 1.
Yeah. I feel like a 16 playoff would have been cooler. I can see the case for a 6 team. I can see the case for a 6 team.
Like the first 2 seeds get a bye.
Yeah. But it doesn't make the conference championships like weirdo stuff, because if you lose your conference championship game, you would still definitely need to be undefeated to make it outside of that 1 loss. So it's like, ugh. Is the NFL or college football better? I think college football is in some trouble. I think more so than the 12-team playoff, the commercials are brutal.
They are. Oh my! I didn't even.
They're brutal, man.
It was really bad. But they got to get paid, I guess. People have been saying that we have too many ads.
We have a decent number of ads right now, I won't lie.
So who are we to criticize?
Fair enough. But we don't go commercial kickoff commercial.
That's true. We don't do that. We need more ads.
College football March Madness type of tournament win. It's so funny because, like, okay, take out the whole like too many games played aspect of it. And a 64-team playoff is starting to like horseshoe theory back around to just a national title game regular season. Where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if you had to go on like a 6-game run undefeated streak to win the national title? It's like, yeah, what if we made that like like 12, but then possibly you could drop a game if everybody else did. It's like, that's just the BCS regular season that you want. But it's got to be called the playoffs.
I wonder if there's a way you could make a video and just like structure it that was like, what if instead of a 12-team playoff, we had...
I've workshopped that and I can't quite get it to where people would be like, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense. It does make sense.
Yeah, if you can just word it the right way, and to the point where you just get people to agree to the BCS, and then you stitch the video later, and you're like, I was just describing the BCS in more ridiculous language.
Ultimately, the undoing. Now I'm locked into the game. Ultimately, though, the undoing of the college football postseason system was people not being okay with weak strength of schedule being rewarded. For the record, that's what it was. Here's what everybody says. I want teams to play tough games. I want college football teams to play tough games. Here's the problem.
Like Bama.
Oh, you need to schedule tough out-of-conference games. Okay. You want teams to play tough schedules. Well, the only way to do that is to punish them for not. And people don't want to do that.
Right.
Every time a team gets punished for playing a weak schedule but has a big win-loss record, people are always pounding the table for the win-loss record to take precedent. Well, okay. Well, then that's what's going to be more valuable, and teams are going to schedule weak opponents. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Oh, why does nobody play tough games? And then you're complaining about UCF not making the playoffs. They played nobody. There's a group of 5 team, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fair. Jesus.
Once
Dobbs
parity increases,
on that.
it'll matter more. If parity does increase, it won't be because of the 12-team playoff. I think personally, I think it's ridiculous to think that. But even if it, I think there's some chance that NIL and transfer can help with that. Although I have my questions about transferring really helping.
I think the NIL can help.
NIL does. Transferring, I'm questionable on. But even then, it's like, how much parity do you think there's going to be? Like, okay, maybe there's more contenders, but Ohio State next year plays 3 real games. They only need to win 1 of them. So unless you think that there's going to get to a point where there's so much parity that Ohio State plays like 7 real games or like 5 real games or something, then I don't know.
Yeah, I think people are looking for NFL-esque parity, and that'll just never be the case in college.
Okay, why should UCF have even played if they had no chance of making the playoffs? Well, back in the day, it was because bowl games mattered, but the playoffs killed the bowl games mattering. The 12-team playoff is trying to solve a problem that the 4-team playoff created. What's the point of a BCS bowl? Oh, there you go. You know, Ohio State made the Rose Bowl, didn't mean anything, and I people think that's how it's always been. No, dude, it hasn't.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The solution to college football has always worked like this, where scheduling tough opponents is a bad idea in terms of like where you're going to get ranked, because the risk of losing a game, like a big game, let's say you go schedule Alabama or whoever, the risk of losing that game far outweighs the benefit of potentially winning it, right?
Yeah.
Right, like if you're looking at your college football team's schedule, you want it to be all easy teams, unless you're like a group of 5 team. If you're a Power 5 team, you don't care. It doesn't matter. Yeah, almost certainly.
But like,
right, you want it to be easy.
If you're like Miami of Ohio, for example, you're like, ooh, and if
even if you're Miami of Ohio,
team,
you bet you can't win the national title if you're a group of 5 team. You can't. So
unless you play Alabama and win,
you won't. What Cincinnati did is the absolute peak of what a group of 5 team can do. Maybe Boise could have challenged for one, but even then it took like an all-time miracle for them to be Oklahoma. Anyway, the problem, the old solution to that problem where it's like a loss hurts you more than a good win. The solution to that was that even if you went undefeated you could miss. And that's why you needed to schedule tough games. Like, yeah, a loss will hurt you more than a win, but if I go too easy, there's potential for there to be 3 undefeated teams. And that was part of the benefit of playing tough games. Or even and when how it used to work before you even had a national title game is that you just needed to, like, there a lot of times it'd be multiple undefeated teams. You didn't have you wouldn't necessarily go play like the other top team. So you needed to have the best resume. And while, yeah, like, again, it was still worked like a loss hurts you more than a good win, you're trying to, like, build a national title argument. So you couldn't risk just playing nobody. But when you expanded it so much to where every team that goes undefeated is locked to get in, you killed that.
Yeah. No, I agree that
bowl games don't matter because of the pre-draft process, but players didn't sit out bowl games before Addison. Oh, they called that incomplete. Players didn't sit out bowl games before the 4-team playoff. And here's something that's probably going to happen. One of these two things I think has the real potential to happen. I think a player may sit out the playoffs. If you're on a team that doesn't actually have a chance to win the national title, not immediately. It won't happen immediately, just like it didn't with the 14 playoff. But all of a sudden, there's going to be this, like, you can make the playoffs and not really have a chance to win the national title. That's going to be way more common. And a team, somebody's going to be staring down like 4 more games. I don't know. It's possible. Now, maybe the pressure of, like, well, you're still competing will stop teams from doing that, but it's definitely something I'd think about. 4 more games, 4 more tough games back to back to back to back. It could be possible. The other thing is that there are some very real scenarios where resting your starters as a contender will be a good idea, and that will be lame. And I think that has a real chance to happen. The auto bid system is the worst part of the 12-team. Like, why are we auto bidding? You can't be ranked in the top 12. That's too big of an ask for a group of 5 team. Why do we have to have group of 5 teams in it? Here's the thing. If you are a group of 5 team and you feel like you can win the national title, okay, schedule yourself a tough out of conference game then. You can make it, and a 12 team certainly. But you can even do it in a 4 team.
Well, don't they schedule
go on the road to Notre Dame and beat them? I said,
like,
right, you
4
create
or 5
your schedule
years in advance.
So why would they not schedule themselves any tough teams? Because they know they're not going to have a chance to win the national title because they're a group of 5 team.
Yeah.
Whatever. We should probably talk about the actual game going on. You can't give me.
I agree with you, man. I have nothing to oppose in your discussion.
I just it's not that people disagree with me. Like, I get the disagreement. It's that you can talk about it for hours and hours and hours, and the number one question will be like, well, why wouldn't you like more teams in the playoffs? Why would more games be bad? It's like, talk about Cam Newton next year. Let's talk about Cam Newton and the Panthers and Ohio State and Cincinnati and.
No, we're talking about the Browns next. I still can't believe how many people are like think Kevin Stefanski is the problem in Cleveland.
It's because they have no quarterback, dude.
I'm like, they have no quarterback. They lost the best running back in the NFL.
That was a great throw by Dobbs. That was a fine throw by Dobbs. That was just a total. It wasn't even really behind. I guess it was a little high.
He wasn't ready for it.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to be ready for it, but like, yeah, he just wasn't ready for it. That's a pick. Yeah, all damn day.
It was. God. I'll tell you this, though. DJ Moore is so good.
DJ Moore is very good.
That's who I'd be throwing screens to all the time. I say, as he has a good screen.
Yeah,
I do that. I see one tight end screen that doesn't work. Yeah, I wouldn't throw a tight end screen. DJ Moore screen works one play. Yeah, I'd do that more. He completely cut off that Browns combo. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. They don't have any quarterback play.
They don't.
I mean, DTR, God bless him, dude.
DTR was playing well, and then he got blasted. And they had so many drops in that game.
We saw when the offense wasn't significantly limited for DTR, we saw what happened. Granted, it's one game against a tough defense, but still.
It wasn't. It was weird. It was like they were just like, all right, gun it, and it was like the worst performance ever. But I don't know. I thought he looked fine in a super limited offense a couple weeks ago, and I think they opened things up a little bit this past week, and he still looked good. I thought he looked better. Even I thought he was hitting throws with anticipation. He was doing well-ish under pressure. There were just a lot of drops, and then he got literally knocked out of the game. But he posted on his story that he's fine, so we'll see if he plays this week.
That's good. Matt, I wasn't there at the time, but did you like trading away DJ Moore? I didn't like trading away DJ Moore, but actually here's something people will never agree with. DJ Moore trade is not what did the Panthers in, for the record. It's not. The DJ Moore trade was not the problem. If they had just drafted, they spent a second round pick on a wide receiver. There's a bunch of different ways that they could have built out that receiver room to be okay, and they could have taken CJ Stroud, and they could have made all the same moves, all the same type of moves, but just done them better. If they just drafted better, it would have been fine. They had to go get a quarterback because this idea that they would not have had the number 1 overall pick if they hadn't made that move.
My question is, how many teams in the Panthers situation would have chosen Stroud over Bryce?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I honestly think a lot.
I think it's a little unfair to be like, well, they should. Everyone's question about Stroud was how he handles under pressure, and all Bryce Young has done is faced exorbitant amounts of pressure.
Do you think Bryce Young's better than Stroud?
I think Bryce Young was a better prospect than Stroud, and I don't think they were wrong for taking Bryce Young.
I think looking back
and being like, oh, they should have taken Stroud as hindsight.
Well, I wouldn't have taken Young number 1. I would have taken Anthony Richardson.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair because he was so gifted.
And here's the thing. If you have Young and Stroud neck and neck, and you're like, I don't know, you absolutely can look back and say the Panthers were wrong. It's their job to get that one right. They traded all that and they didn't get it right, I don't think. And it's like, look, you can say that Stroud wouldn't be as good and Bryce's, if he was in the Bryce's situation, sure, but that does not make Bryce Young the right pick.
Yeah, I can get behind Richard. They should have taken Richardson because of the physical tools, and if you're going to trade up to get a guy like that, you should at least, and the roster is limited, then you should take the guy who can give you.
Yeah, like CJ Stroud is having the greatest rookie season of all time for a quarterback. Dude, come on. I know Bryce Young's situation is bad, but guys. And we don't think that any of the sort of limited offensive play calling has anything to do with him. We think it's entirely everything, everybody else. But then here's the problem. We sort of start to look at things. It's people said the same thing about Frank Reich. Well, Frank Reich was in a terrible situation. It's not his fault either. And this offensive line, I mean, they were good last year and terrible this year. It's like I don't know. It can't not be. You can't look at every individual thing and be like, well, it's everybody else's fault, and then do that for everything. It's not. Yeah. Look, the receivers are bad. It's not all the receivers, and that's why everything doesn't work, and they're just that terrible. And Frank Reich and Bryce Young are great, and it's just the receivers are that bad.
The play calling has not been great. The run game has been pretty bad. The offensive line has been pretty bad. The Miles Sanders move has ended up being a complete disaster.
They fired Deuce Staley today, running back coach.
Yeah, that checks out.
And they fired Josh McCown too. I feel bad for all those guys. I think it's just a bad situation.
Maybe the whole team sucks.
I don't disagree with the firings. Like, I think you need to clean house, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the one thing in house that's really killing them can't be cleaned. But how do the Panthers get better from here? You just got to draft good. And that's enough Panthers talk, in my opinion.
They just got to draft.
I can't do it no more, man.
We don't do it on the podcast, so I'm down to like let you rip a little bit.
I might as well, you know. I try to limit it on the podcast, but they have entered like interestingly bad. They are interestingly bad.
Yes, it's worth a conversation. Do they have the worst owner in football? Maybe.
As it stands right now, it's been pretty rough. Addison. He's a beast, man.
He is really good. It's okay, Matt. We both have two of the worst ownership groups in the NFL.
It's whatever. I haven't cared about the Panthers like I used to for a long time, largely because they're just terrible, and it's just hard to. I think everybody's a little bit fair weather, right? Like I'm not fair weather in the sense that I'll ever say I'm like cheering for somebody. Oh, he was down. That's too bad.
Was he?
I'm never gonna say that I'm like rooting for another team, but like, dude, I don't watch every single Panthers game. There's other stuff, like there's other games on to watch, and like, dude, it's just so bad.
Yeah. If the Browns' defense wasn't good, I don't know if I would be able to watch them all the time.
Like every game.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get invested. They've been terrible since 2018. I was a junior in high school.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Honestly, how can you be happy about being a Hornets and Panthers fan? You can't. It's really awful. I can't believe. I really can't believe it. Whatever. We're on to the Cincinnati Reds.
How many games you going to this year?
Dobbs. I don't know. A good number. I had great luck last year going to games. I had wild luck last year going to game.
The first game I went to, I saw a grand slam. So.
Do you all care about the MLB? I actually care about the Reds a lot. I don't know anything else, but I care about the Reds.
I don't care at all.
Like
that should have been a pick six. Oh my god.
I actually, and I hate to say this, outside of the Ohio State-Michigan game in 2012, the best game I've ever been to is totally a baseball game. Is the Reds-Braves Friday night game. When Elly hit the cycle. Dude. That was a psychotically good game.
Was that the game that was the same night as the Taylor Swift concert?
I think so, yeah.
Like they were happening at the same time.
And it's like, thoughts on Naz Reid? He's different, man. He could start for a lot of teams. He is a Red. Ohtani.
I've heard of that name.
Is there a way to pin a comment? Dude, I wish. Theo is on a flight.
He needs to pin.
Reds June games were like 12-11 score games every night. No, not every night. Just how Luke Weaver starts. Reds will be good. They need to be active in free agency, though. They do. They do. I'll give you that. Mark Williams has been good, right? Yeah. Defense around him is just atrocious. I think Steve Clifford. I know the personnel is bad, but they have like point blank the worst defense in the NBA. It's just not acceptable.
What is your favorite Taco Bell item?
The spicy potato ones.
I don't know what those are. I fear.
Y'all into movies or TV shows? The TV show that I'm like really into, that I'm like really waiting for to come back, is Severance on Apple TV. Dude, that show rocks, man.
Do you have Apple TV?
I think so, yeah.
Nice.
If I don't, I'll get it when that new season comes out. That show is so good. Go watch it.
Severance?
Mm-hmm. What else?
mostly
Smiling
just-
Friends. Smiling Friends is a classic.
I mostly just rewatch a lot of my old favorite stuff, just because I really only get to watch TV when I'm going to bed. So I don't want to watch anything that I have to pay attention to, because otherwise I won't fall asleep.
Fair enough. I guess shows like that. What Invincible? I'm just gonna wait for the full season to come out. Don't spoil anything for Invincible for me. But that was good.
That's right.
DJ
Invincible
Moore,
dropped.
whatever. DJ Moore, huge gain, and Ivan Pace, garbage tackle that still counts. Not that he made a garbage play, but it's like not.
Yeah. End of the. So I posted this.
Dang.
I posted that fourth down Chargers play on Twitter, where like there was just immediate pressure and Herbert got sacked. Or I don't think he got sacked, but like
Yeah, he threw the ball
yeah.
like
And
into the
I
dirt.
was like, what the fuck is he supposed to do here? And people just keep saying he should have thrown it to his check down, or he should have
Gone beast mode.
adjusted the protection. Gone beast mode.
And look, dude. Twitter users being like, should have just adjusted the protection, I think. Come on, guys.
It's like, you
That's
tell
be-
me what protection he should have gone to, and then we can have a conversation. But you just saying,
You'll never get an answer to that. Come on.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, that's as close to like he should have made them block better as you can get, bro.
should have adjusted the protection. If you screenshot like right before the ball snaps, the Ravens are showing 7. The Chargers only have 6 guys back. Like, it's 5 offensive linemen and Eckler. Like, there is no adjusting the protection there. I guess they could have called a timeout. That's maybe.
Fields. Too many, just too much reliance on screens, man.
Yeah.
You know, people look at like, oh, you know, screens are like an extension of the run game, and that's like true to some extent, but then these teams just start throwing them too much, and those defensive linemen, they just start sort of spacing out and trying to break it up. Like a screen is still harder to pull off and get the player's ball, like get the ball in a player's hands than a run. Obviously, it takes longer.
Yes.
It does, and the Panthers have the same problem where they just want you to go screen. It's like if you could really match up inside and win, you wouldn't be doing that. Granted, you know you have to call what you can call with the players you have, and I get that, but like it's like small ball in the NBA almost, where it's like yeah, I can understand why that like is the best option for some teams, but it's not like it shouldn't be like the go-to. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. But I think teams with bad run blocking offensive lines just going screen, maybe their best option. Still not great.
Yeah. I always think about the Chargers playoff game last year where they were up so big, but because they literally could not run the ball and they just kept short pass, screen. They didn't move the ball, and also they didn't waste any clock. So the Jags were able to claw their way back. I'm like, it's just something about like consistently running screens is the worst game plan you could possibly have. It feels like.
I think talking through it, I think it's because teams that are in a talent deficit are the ones that do that. It's like they're not the problem, they're the symptom, you know?
They're the symptom.
Yeah, they are. Also,
Yeah.
delayed screens. Somebody's just talking about yeah, I agree. I love delayed screens.
Works in Madden. If it works in Madden, it's probably a bad. It's probably.
I think they're great, man. I think that's an awesome, safe change of pace play.
A delayed screen.
I love delayed screens. That's a good mix-up.
The Jags kind of did that this past week. They kept booting out to the right or to, I can't remember which direction it was, but they kept doing this boot action, and the Texans were playing it really well. I mean, they were setting the edge. They were not letting Trevor Lawrence really get outside super well. And then eventually the Jags they did that boot action and they just whipped back to a screen on the other side. And they had numbers out there. It was like, that's a nice play call.
What was somebody saying in here that I wanted to talk about? Bo Nix possibly winning Heisman is why college football is inferior. The Heisman, its problem is that like Brock Purdy, if he like they give the Brock Purdys the Heisman. You know? Not quite to that like level, but like that's kind of what they do.
Right.
Brock Purdy's a nice quarterback. Like he's been playing well, but I don't want to hate. But like he's not the most valuable player in the NFL.
The most valuable player. He's not. Yeah. Where does Marvin rank right now in the Heisman race?
He has no chance. He's not even going to win the Blitnikoff. Neighbors is going to win it.
Neighbors,
granted,
yeah.
Neighbors is a great player. He might be my wide receiver too. But like
really
it's so unfair to compare their stats 1-to-1 when it's like, well, this guy has the Heisman throwing to him apparently, and Marv doesn't.
Yeah. Whew. What a catch.
Yeah. Powell's been good, man.
He has.
He may turn out to be a legendary role-playing wide receiver. Oh, they got that snap off. I think he was bobbling that as he was going down. There you go. Clock not stopping when you get a first down is wrong.
Yeah.
Neighbors is wide receiver 4. I think I can see him at 4 and not hate you for that. I think any lower, and then I'd start to really question it. But I can see, and I haven't watched enough to have like this is my set ranking for sure.
Right.
I'd like to investigate why Coleman doesn't produce more, I guess.
It's probably a worthwhile discussion because talent-wise, I mean...
We only watched his best game where he did produce, so I couldn't tell you. But talent-wise, like, obviously, that guy is a psycho,
crazy.
Man. He's really good.
No.
Like, just straight, like... I don't know, man.
Height, weight, speed.
I thought Hawkinson was going to come down with that. I really believed it.
Dog, what is Dobbs' average depth of target on the season?
It's really not that high, but this game it's been at least I feel like it's been pretty far.
Yeah, man.
Coleman is a top 5 athlete in college. Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't really I couldn't give you a top 5 at all, but he's stupid. I mean, look, he could have played like D1, like Big Ten, Michigan State basketball, you know?
Good God. Yeah, that's crazy.
Is Winston the Jordan Poole of the NFL? That's a hilarious take. That's an awesome take.
Jameis?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you that one. Yeah, Jameis is the.
Jameis Winston is the Jordan Poole of the.
You know what the NFL's problem is?
What?
There's been a lot of quarterback injuries.
And no one's willing to sign Matt Corral? Yeah, I agree.
There's been a lot of quarterback injuries, and it's just been like none of the teams with a backup option.
Yeah.
It's like all the teams, there's actually some pretty good backups out there, man. There is, but like
Brissett,
yeah, like Brissett's not going to see the field at all. It's like, dude, he could start for like 8 teams right now. Andy Dalton could start for 8 teams right now. Winston could go start and be far more serious. Like Winston could start for the Browns easily.
I would want DTR. But
I can't agree with that.
I'm not asking you to agree. No one will. But
They should extend the trade deadline, but just for quarterbacks. I'm dead serious.
I love the idea of like everyone, the entire league gets one last trade, and it can happen anytime.
They should have special backup quarterback options where they can be called to other teams if they lose their starter. My honest opinion. Not really.
You should be forced to keep your backup quarterback on the practice squad.
God, Dobbs is such a gamer.
Jesus Christ.
Give Shane Steichen some respect. Yeah. Minshew, I would say, is one of the more like he's like a middle of the road backup quarterback. He's costed them some games, no question. But what backup quarterback wouldn't, you know? Yeah, they have a winning record, man. And that roster,
if
I think that
Steichen's coach of the year. I think
that's very fair.
Yeah.
That we talked about it before on the podcast. That team's in a very interesting position where it's like there's a few position groups that I think are really like pretty dire. But I feel like for the most part, they're in a position where they have a lot of different guys at different positions. It's like they could go anywhere they want to in the draft and start the guy. But there's a lot of positions where they don't necessarily need to go with a guy there. Like, do they need to get another receiver? Not necessarily. No. They don't need to.
I mean, they can just go best player available. They can just go best player available.
Although they should get that Wiggins guy from Clemson. He is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
I think he should be a top 10 pick.
They probably won't have a top 10 pick. But
no. But I think he should be a top 10 pick. Maybe I don't think he's rated quite that highly yet, but I think he might become rated that highly.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about what I would really want the Colts to do. Losing Shaq Leonard is a big loss, and like they've still been fine, but I think if you could get
he just hasn't been himself.
Yeah, I think if you could either get someone to fill the void that he left, or I guess the real answer would be bring in like a high-level edge defender.
Fake South Carolina flag, take it down. Fair enough. You have to realize how special Nate Wiggins is if I'm praising him. A Clemson player.
That's true.
But he's nice, man. He's nice. Also, the rivalry just means a lot less for Clemson, South Carolina, because South Carolina's just been so bad for so long. It's and I'm not in South Carolina anymore. So it makes it, although last year was pretty hype. Or I'll say this, it meant more when Clemson was good too. When it was like South Carolina can really take it to Clemson and like actually like play spoiler. This year it was like, and South Carolina has like 5 wins, and Clemson's not doing anything. They're going to like the Cheez-It Bowl. It's like I want South Carolina to win, but I didn't have any hope that they could, and it meant a little bit less. Best 3-3 game of all time. It's been pretty good. Zaire Franklin is, yeah, Franklin's been good.
So we've got a tie game at half. The Bears' offense has been able to move. They just haven't been able to finish off drives.
Yeah. Do you want to call it?
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty tired. It's been good talking with you fellas. Been talking with everybody.
We'll be back tomorrow to look at another NFL draft prospect. I think we're keeping the trend of edge rushers right now. We looked at Verse last week. We'll just see who Theo has in his Rolodex of tape from this season, and we'll have a little film day. It'll be a fun time. But until then, thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flippity flop.